Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Karu News, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Gyan, and Organ Donation India Foundation. Our endeavor is to bring to you everyday new topic. And today's topic is not only new, but it's a very, very relevant. The topic is male chauvinism. Male chauvinism is the belief that men are superior to women. The first documented use of the phrase male chauvinism is in the 1935 Clifford Oates play, The Till the Day I Die. Chauvinism is the unreasonably belief in the superiority or dominance of one's own group or people who are seen as strong and virtuous, while others are considered weak, unworthy, or inferior. Chauvinism has come to be used in some quarters as shorthand for male chauvinism, a trend reflected in Merriam-Webster's dictionary, which as of 2018 begins its first example of use of the term chauvinism with an attitude of superiority towards members of the opposite sex. Male chauvinism has no room in a civilized society, and the obnoxious act of eve-teasing affected justice and the rights of a woman, the Supreme Court has held. Observing that egoism must succumb to law, a bench headed by Justice Deepak Mishra asked why women in this country cannot be allowed to live in peace and lead a dignified life with freedom. It has to be kept in mind that she has a right to life and is entitled to love according to her choice. She has an individual choice which has been legally recognized. It has to be socially respected. No one can compel a woman to love. She has the absolute right to reject. In a civilized society, male chauvinism has no room. The Constitution of India confers the affirmative rights on women, and the said rights are perceptible from Article 15. When the right is conferred under the Constitution, it has to be understood that there is no condescension. Now, to discuss this very, very important topic, very relevant topic, the male chauvinism, we have a very elite, knowledgeable, experts panelist with us, and I would like to invite my first panelist guest, and she is Miss Urvashi Mittal. Miss Urvashi Mittal is MMS CFA. She did MMS Master of Management Studies from BITS Pilani in 1986 and completed CFA in 1990 with a silver medal. Recently, she was awarded with reputed Certificate of Excellence 2018 Woman of the Year, Dionisio, DIONISIO, United Award, New York, USA. With the aim to serve society, she joined Innerwheel in 2008-9 and is currently serving as District Secretary. Innerwheel is world's largest women voluntary service organization present in 104 countries, having its representative in United Nations also. She received many awards within Innerwheel, such as Outstanding President, Brand Ambassador, Editor's Choice Awards, etc. She introduced many new concepts of social service for which she received several awards, few of them like Honda Superstar, Award for Excellence, Award for Social Work by NGO, Social Umbrella and Deepanjay Trust, Lions Club Award, Anchor Media Group Award, Award for Peace by Muni Irani, renowned Hollywood celebrity coach. She is associated with a number of other social organizations such as FICCI Ladies Organization, Bridge Kala Kendra, ISKCON, DCT, and Zena World, etc. She appeared several times on Aaj Tak, CNBC, G Regional, DD News, MH1, India News, Janta TV, Total News, JK News, as well as on print media also. And she also appeared on media conference with Lal Goel several times. Welcome, Miss Urvashi Mittal on our show. Miss Urvashi Mittal, you are serving as the District Secretary Innerwheel, Delhi unit. And you are doing, this organization is for giving service for the women, mainly for the women empowerment. Now, we would like to know your views on male chauvinism. And we have to consider one thing, especially in the pretext or context of India. So we would like to know your views on male chauvinism. Miss Urvashi Mittal, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, sir, for this great introduction and inviting me here. Sir, one thing, as you said about Will, we do not work only for women empowerment. We work for every needy. Wherever the help is needed, we are there. Sir, as far as the topic is concerned, I feel it's more like the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to explore inside. At times, I visualize it like cabbage, layers one after another, very confusing, very complex, overlapping. You've already addressed chauvinism and male chauvinism. Coming to the point, I believe when we say male chauvinism, it includes all, entire spectrum: grandfathers, fathers, spouses, bosses, peers, cousins, brothers, sons, son-in-laws. Barring few exceptions, of course, thank you, people like you. We are here and discussing it so very openly so that a way forward can be achieved. Sir, as you said, keeping in mind my background, I'm a social activist, as you just said. So my emphasis is always in analyzing how the things are originating and how that can be addressed. So I'll not be talking about establishing male chauvinism and how females are better. I'm taking it for granted. We are better. I'll quickly go through the reasons as to how it has come into practice. So don't we all wonder at times that females, despite giving birth to males, is still this attitude not only exists, but it's become a way of life. My take is this does not happen because of superiority of males. It is mostly because of the false, hollow, theoretical support one gets from males. And values are imbibed when young and they spread with age. Let me elaborate. We belong to a society where mostly males are bread earners. So females obviously have no choice and tolerate all atrocities. Secondly, we feel sons will be our support when we grow old. Because of this feeling, females themselves suppress females. For example, if a family has a son and a daughter and limited finances, then despite the daughter being more intelligent, son will always be preferred and will be provided with all facilities. The same happens in case of daughter-in-laws. So females being mothers and mother-in-laws support sons over daughter and daughter-in-laws and keep them at a higher pedestal. This biased approach carves out a permanent niche in the hearts of males and they start considering themselves superior at a higher pedestal. Slowly, gradually, both these factors are automatically being taken care of with advancement of time. Nowadays, even women have started earning and they are breaking glass ceilings and they are having their say. And sons also mostly no longer prefer to stay at home. Despite having a flourishing business at home, they prefer to take up lucrative jobs and go away from the clutches of parents. But here, I'd like to mention one ritual still, which is very much in practice and firmly set in the minds of people. And this is what we need to fight out. That is, if last rites are performed by great-grandson, then great-grandfather attains heaven on death. So it is time to fight this mindset. Sir, I often wonder at times, ours is a karma-pradhan society. We attach so much of emphasis to our karmas, what we are doing in the present life. Even God Krishna said in Gita, karmanya vadhitarastu ma phaleshu kadachanam. So then how did we start believing that without taking qualities into consideration, mere last rites being performed by a great-grandson will entitle one to heaven? So this is time to fight this mindset because males with this biased approach towards them, like great-grandson, it involves 4 generations. They consider themselves at a higher pedestal, class apart and superior in all roles. Having said this, I firmly believe that if we point a finger at others, 3 point towards us. So here comes our role into play. We females need to do our part in facilitating the required change in the mindsets of people. So as you said, I deal with ladies mostly. And in fact, most of we don't earn by ourselves. We fall back on our husbands to do all the charity that we do. So if this male chauvinism, if it is a way of life, then even we have to fight it out somewhere or the other. So sir, we always say, whenever we talk of education, we drive home the point that if you educate a woman, you educate a family. If you educate a girl, you educate future. It's time to prove it. It is necessary for educated women like us to behave like one, to put an end to male chauvinism and to provide further impetus to intensify efforts for female education so that all can work collectively to fight it. Ultimately, बच्चा तो हम ही पैदा करते हैं, तो हमारी अपनी we have a great responsibility in tackling it. In the end, on a more candid note, sir, as you know, my take, all I want to request is that I just want to put everyone's attention on one single thing. It could be our personal differences. So let us not put everything under male chauvinism. If I have a fight with a peer man, that cannot be male chauvinism. If the entire universe is covered by just one thing, it is going to be drab, monotonous. The moment more than one things appear, there's bound to be differences and comparison. So every single thing cannot be put under male chauvinism. One has to be very practical, very sensible to define male chauvinism and to separate it. As it is said, हम ही हम हैं तो क्या हम हैं, तुम ही तुम हो तो क्या तुम हो. So there has to be a right balance. Of course, this is a problem. This has to be tackled. But the moment all of us stand together on the common platform, on the same page, trust me, the progress will be much, much more, and that will be elliptical. That's what I will say. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ms. Urvashi, for giving your views. And Ms. Urvashi is very clear. She says, although the man chauvinism is there, but who has created this? It has to be on the equal platform. And she says that if we both, the male and female, work together, then the progress will be more. And she says, after all, the female are also not inferior to male at all. After all, bachcha to hum hi paida karte hain, which Ms. Urvashi has mentioned. And she also says that hum hi hum hai to hum kya hai, tum hi tum ho to tum kya ho. She means to say that one single gender cannot do anything. If we have to achieve, then both the genders should respect each other. And this male chauvinism should not be there. Although when I send the topic to her, she says, why only the male chauvinism? What about the female chauvinism? I said, yes, you are free to talk about that. Otherwise, I am going to take that female chauvinism also very soon as a topic. And definitely we will discuss this, because whatsoever the drawbacks in our society, what we say in Hindi, kuriti, jo hai hamare yahan ki jo whatsoever, we have to highlight those. Instead of highlighting some tutu meme thing, it's always better to try to see, to bring to the knowledge of the public, so that at least we can try to change or transform our society for a better way. Thank you very much, Ms. Urvashi, for giving your views. I'm sure those who are watching your shows, they will understand that no, not only the male, but the female are also responsible somewhat in this male chauvinism. So one has to come, take the equal responsibility and try to make a harmony in their approach. Thank you very much, Ms. Urvashi Mittal. I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and she is Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati. Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati is the inner transformation coach. She is the founder of the Being Spiritual with KUC. She is knowledge partner of Fitsa Private Limited, Mumbai. She started out as a journalist, then progressed to an editorial desk job, and on the side, she completed her master's in psychotherapy and counseling and master's in psychology. For 8 years, she tripled up as an editor, freelance writer, and corporate coach and psychotherapist. Then in 2008, she switched completely to coaching, psychotherapy, and counseling, used a myriad of modalities to help her clients. Her head was filled with knowledge of tarot, angel card reading, Hindu rites and rituals from a spiritual perspective, crystal healing, Reiki, guided meditations, mindfulness, hypnotherapy, astrology, rune casting, crystal ball, gauging, art therapy, handwriting and signature analysis, candle meditation, etc. Being spiritual with KUC, she crested community. Her every blog post comes from a space of deeper understanding, wisdom brought about by the awareness that comes through experience of the lessons learned. Welcome, Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati on our show. Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati, you are not only a journalist, but a psychotherapist as well as psychologist. And you know the psychology of men and women both. We would like to know your views, and you have heard what Ms. Urvashi Mittal said she says both are responsible. If we just say the man chauvinism, we have to take the women should also take the responsibility for the same. So now we would like to know your views, being a psychologist and a psychotherapist and a counselor, your views on men chauvinism. Miss Karishma Chhatrapati, please. Please unmute. Please unmute.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much, Mr. Lal, for having me here this morning. And I loved what was shared by Ms. Urvashi Mittal earlier. I completely resonate with that it is all about a perspective of understanding that it's not just about the males, it is about the females too. But more than that, I also would like to add is that it is about the parenting. In most households, people bring up their children where they feel that their sons are superior to their daughters. And unfortunately, even in today's day and age, it is a prevalent concept in a lot of households. If we can correct that and bring up our children as children and human beings of tomorrow, rather than as sons and daughters, things would change. I'm going to give you a little bit of my own history. When I was growing up, I had a younger sister, 2 daughters in our house. And my father never made us feel like he misses a son. He would make us do what a son would do and what a daughter would do. And one day his friend came over and said, "How can you have your daughter lift this table?" And he said, "Why not?" He said, "This is a boy's job." He said, "My daughter is a human being of tomorrow, and she better know how to be strong enough, be courageous enough to face the world in front of her." And this is where it all boils down to. If every parent brought up their child as a human being for tomorrow, we would not have issues and discussions on chauvinism or misogyny. So yes, the onus of change first begins with correct parenting, with recognizing that there is no, why should we have gender biases? Why should we be considered as a weaker lot as women? By the end of the day, childbirthing, childbearing is far more painful than what any other human being can go through. And yet you think that we are the weaker gender because you are brought up in the belief system that sons are superior to daughters, that men are superior to women. In the good old days, mind you, both the men and women respected each other because the man would return home and give his earnings to his wife. So his wife could actually run the household. Where did that change? Was it modern literature that changed it all? Was it the media that brought it about? Was it about, people being sensitized to this because of what others wanted to bring into popular culture? Because I know my own grandmother would say that all the men in our house would come back and give their earnings to the women. When I asked her what is chauvinism, and I did ask her this last night, she said, "I don't know, because when you define chauvinism, I've not seen that in my sons or in my husband at all." So is this really a modern concept that we have popularized and we are suffering? I'm not saying it was not there at all, but it was far less there when I listened to stories from my grandmother and people of her generation. When it comes to gender equality, a very firm concept that comes to my mind is the Shiva Shakti bind. When you talk about Ardhanarishwar, you look at Ardhanarishwar as a balance between a male and a female. And when you see pictures that reflect this, you see that there is an equilibrium in their roles coming together, in merging together. When you look at other symbols like the yin-yang principle, you see a balance with not it being either or, but saying it is a togetherness. Yes, it is very nice if a man opens the door for a woman, but not out of the attitude of "I'm superior to you and you can't handle opening your own door." That is where the issue is. And while the man wants to force his chauvinism upon you, it is up to you as a woman to stand up tall and say, "I can handle that for myself." You need to also stand up rather than blush about it and say, "Oh my God, this man is so chauvinistic." There was a time when I would have friends who would say, "It's so nice if chauvinism was existing even more, where men would open the doors for women." You ask for it and then you want to break the code of it. Stand up, open your own door. Stand up, get your own coffee. Stand up, and go Dutch for your lunches and dinners from the very first date that you had. That is where we break the bias, and that is where we break the code, rather than sitting and talking about the term MCP. I don't want to elongate what the acronym of MCP is on this platform, but I'm sure for everyone out there, they would understand. We blame the man himself. Go back to when he was brought up. Go back to the society and the community that celebrated his birth, vis-a-vis actually feeling bad that they've had a daughter in the house before that. It is how we bring up our children that determine how they are going to behave. And gender biases begin from the homes, extends into the society, and thereby becomes something that we inherit and then we genetically give it, either directly, subconsciously, or consciously. The responsibility of breaking biases towards chauvinism and feminism is all about an attitude to recognize we're human beings first, we perform as human beings first, and we are all human, contributing to making this world a more beautiful place, because nature was never made with biases. It was made with universality. That's what I would like to bring into this room today. Thank you so much again for having me here.
Thank you very much, Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati, for giving your views, and Ms. Karishma also agree with Ms. Urvashi Mittal, but she says that who is responsible for this, and she blamed for the parenting, wrong parenting. It depends on the parenting. If the parents will inculcate these feelings that the boy is superior to the girl, then definitely the man chauvinism will be there when the boy will become a man. But if the parents are seeing the girls as equal to the boy, then there will be no man chauvinism. And she says that that mindset has to be changed. And she also mentioned that the earlier time, the old time, the man chauvinism was not that much. It was there, but not that much. And the respect was there. But now it has changed. And that's why the male chauvinism is increasing day by day. And it has to be changed. And it can be changed by the correct parenting. Because if the child from the family learn all these things, then the society, we will go to the society, and the society is everywhere. So according to her, it is the fault of the parenting. If the male was giving more importance, she even says that still now many places the birth of a boy is celebrated, not of the girl. And I would just like to add that it is not only a celebration. Even some places in North India, especially, the girl birth is not been treated as a good one. While in South India, it is a bit different, where the girls are considered to be more lucky and more respected there. They celebrate their birthdays in a big way, the girls' birthday, while in North India, people usually earlier. Now, the time is changing when the boys and girls are educated. So the time is changing, but still, male chauvinism is there. Thank you very much, Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati, for giving your views. I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and she is Ms. Veena Gupta. Ms. Veena Gupta is the founder, president of SEAM Global Consultancy Singapore. She is titled fondly as Lady Bodyguard, certified instructor in multiple martial art forms. She is the founder of SEAM Group of companies having offices in Singapore, US, and India. She is also the founder and president of the NGO called VES. She has launched a women's safety app by the name of MSMR. She is author of book MSMR. Ms. Veena is a TEDx speaker, life coach, lead auditor ISO 27000-13, CPTED specialist, security practitioner with expertise in executive protection, integrated security and fire system design and installation, consultancy, audits, and risk assessments. She is an author, certified coach, and self-defense trainer. With a sharp vision for diversity and a better world, Ms. Veena continues her journey to empower women to fight battles, break the stigma, and be indispensable. She is officially appointed as Deputy Chief Warden of Gurugram Civil Defense. She has won more than 1,000 awards and accolades. With an overall experience of 25 plus years, she has imparted training to millions, and to further share her thoughts, ideas and knowledge, has her own YouTube channel. Welcome, Ms. Veena Gupta, on our show. Ms. Veena Gupta, you are, I will say, a lady bodyguard, and you are providing the security to many, and you are giving, you are creating the empowerment. You are empowering the women to fight battles, break the stigma, and be indispensable. So that is what we are discussing today, the male chauvinism. Now, we would, and you have heard what Ms. Urvashi Mittal has mentioned, as well as Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati. Both have given their views very clearly. Now, we would like to know from you your views on male chauvinism. Ms. Veena Gupta, please.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much, Mr. Goel, for a lovely introduction. And sorry for delay. There were some electrical issues at my home. I think one more thing I wanted to add, which I could not share with you earlier. So this year, Google has launched me as Miss Google for the theme called Break the Bias, Search for Change. Bolne se hoga. This is the campaign Google has started. So it's a proud feeling that I'm the Google Miss India for 2022 for a special theme, which we are talking about break the bias. So my thought is, and I could only hear Karishma and Urvashi, I think I could hear a little bit. So I do agree what my co-panelist has said. Mera thoda sa, it's a different tangent basically I want to bring into everybody's notice. See, when we talk about break the bias, everybody talk about the right upbringing, the wrong upbringing, or do's and don'ts, etc. So collectively, we have three women together with us. I collectively, please allow me to take the blame on us. As a female, as in like when we talk about the parenting, we are the one who nurture the society. We are the one who give birth to a child. We are the one who are responsible as in the 80% nurturing of a child. So male has no role to nurture a child when it comes to bringing up a human or a man or woman. So what happens is the wrong upbringing of parenting, I would say, or maybe my forefather, my mother and my mother-in-law, whatever they have done, we cannot do undo, because now the population we live in is very, very hard to break the bias, and we can keep talking about. So what everybody said, I would say the same thing, that we have to change first. I could hear somebody said, like, why can't we stand in a queue? See, we are very complicated as a people. I would not say female, but since we are talking about women empowerment, I don't believe in this word women empowerment, because we the one who are getting wrong. When, see, we're very choosy. When we have not to stand in a queue, we'll say, oh, it's a women's special line. When we have to take the ladies bus or the ladies train, we will choose those opportunities, even special reservations, special place at the workplace, diversity and all. So this we choose when it comes to favoring us. So either we become equal or then we don't become equal. We always hope that the salary rise or equal opportunity at workplace, but then we do compare also, but we are not able to contribute at workplace 100% what men do. But here there's a myth. You may do agree. See, the women, basically we women, we are multitasker. We are best worker at home or office. So what happens? We will finish our work within the 6 hours of whatever, if we are working at workplace in the given time, and we can go back home. Reason being is not that we choose to go back home, that we're going for a party, is that we have so much of responsibility. We have to look after our kids, we have to do the coordination of our maid and in-laws, parents, etc., etc. All the responsibility lies on us. But let me ask you, who has given us this responsibility? We own that. We have taken by default, because at the same time, men can take this liberty to stay back at office maybe till 9 o'clock, because he has that luxury that he can work late night. There are two reasons. One, the safety issue is not with him. Second thing, he knows at home everything will be touched, everything will be done, everything will be taken care, so he can take that liberty. So what happens? The male would say, oh, ye to roz ghar jaldi chali jati hai, or she can always leave 5:30, because she has always those excuses. My child is not well, my relatives are coming, my in-laws are coming, any excuses. So they will take that as excuses. But the male colleague, they do forget that we are multitasker. We are the best people working at workplace. We do finish our work within the time. We don't take so much of break for smoking, so much of break of roaming here and there, because we don't have the liberty to stay back at home. I am in hurry to go back home to look after my kids, to look after my family. So this is the responsibility on us. Now my again question, nobody has asked us. We have become super duper like women, like, very empowered women that we want to hold everything. When it comes to, sadly, I would use this word because I believe in equality. I do take care of the women's side of the story, the crime against women, but same time I'm so compassionate about the men's side of the story. Because see, until as we talk about the root cause, this topic we can do on a daily basis. We have to get into the root cause. What are the root causes? Root causes are same, like starts from the home. Parity begins at home. We as a female, we as a woman at workplace, we as a co-worker, we as a friend, as somebody said, why can't we pay our own bill? Then we wait for a man to pay our bill. Then we become, oh, shiveringly, like, why can't he pick up our, like, bag? So here we have to change, because then we look upon in him, oh, we feel bad. I was holding 2 bags and he just refused to pick up my bag. No, then we become a soft woman, a weak woman. So I think we have to choose what we want at workplace. Fine, it's fine. Like, if we are having our cycle or we are not well, or there's some reason we are holding a baby, then we should expect that, somebody should hold our bag. But then I've seen like my co-workers, my friends and everybody, they would expect that husband should pick up their bag in case, they have a big bags or shopping bags also. Yeah, no. Shopping bags, I think we prefer to pick up in our own hand. So I think we have to break the bias starting from home. We have to start the gender equality lesson, I think, at the early age of 5. Normally we think that kid is very small, he or she is not understanding what is happening around. But see, the 90% brain of the child has already developed when he or she was born. So don't think that he or she is not aware what's happening at your home. The way you treating your husband, the way you think doing things at home, the way you commanding, the way you behaving, the way you're talking to your mate, he or she is observing everything, and that is, he or she is the human which will shape up at the age of 10 or maybe 12. So that 10% is only left at the age of the teens, which is the maybe 10 or 11 years old child. But 90% brain is there. So you have to start at early age. All the husband, they should respect their wife, because see what happens, how the man knows that if I'm coming back from the office, he will just sit, put his bag here and there, and he'll wait for his tea to come. Same time, we as a wife will just keep our bag at one corner, rush to the kitchen and just be ready to cook. Oh my god, it's too late, maid is not there. Why? Because this is what he has seen at home, what his father was doing. Okay, fine, why don't you serve the dinner, why don't you do this thing? And then only one task I think probably he would take at the morning, because when I speak to people, they would say, the men will say, I do one thing, which is what, maybe dressing up the child for the school, or maybe dropping him or her at the school, nothing else. I said, why can't you make the tiffin also? Why can't you go to the kitchen? And why can't you do other things? But then I think again we are at fault. We as a mother, we as a woman, do you think we would allow him to get into the kitchen to create that mess? We will say, get out, get lost, because we don't like that, messing around in our kitchen. We don't like messing around with our kids. We want to nurture our kid with our own hands. This is what I think we get wrong. So I would not say much, because most of the speakers has already spoken. I would just say, if we have to change, we have to change first. We as a woman have to take the responsibility, how I'm accepting and reciprocating on the advances or the advantages of being a woman. We should be choosy. If I don't want to be standing in a queue, which is a ladies line, I shouldn't be. If I'm asking for a right as an equal right, then I shouldn't be taking those favor. If man can stand, then I can also stand, right? Same time, when it comes to law, which is posh or so-called women's law, which favor women, and nowadays many women are misusing those laws. Why I'm using this word? Because as a TEDx speaker, there was a talk which I've given on a law which is 498, the Dowry Act, which has been misused, and it's the extortion for men. So it's not about other men, but see, those men can be our brother, can be our colleague, can be my relative. I think in our population, if we talk about 30% majority, if I'm talking about the 30% men, as in out of our family, must be going through those divorce cases, which is there in the court for 9 or 10 years. Here also, see, when women is working and they're working together, then I think she's not spending her salary for the household thing. it's a man responsibility out of maybe patriarchy society, then men has to look after the household expenses. Even she's working equally, right? She will not spend maybe for household thing. It's by default comes on the shoulder of the guy. You have to do the household thing. We the woman will say, if he's not spending, oh my god, we can't even spend on us, why can't you buy gifts and also. I think here we have to change from the home. If we want equality, we have to contribute even for small things. If he's taking care of household expense, then we can take care of other things. Why I'm using this word? Because what happens when the alimony and when the divorce cases happens, so alimony, again, women do ask in the name of maintenance. However, she's not been spending even a single penny when she was working, men was spending. So he has been earning, he has been spending. So I think here we have to look for change. We have to change and we should stand for our empowerment, which is the financial freedom. If we are financially independent, then I think we should opt for a mutual things, like, why to fight. And one last more thing I would say, that nowhere is written, ladies, that when you part, when you break your marriage, when the marriage gets break, nobody has told you that you should fight the custody of your child. Because what happens when we fight the custody of the child, that becomes the trauma for child, for us, for the society. Because here again we become the same, like, stakeholders, that everything will come on us. Nobody said that you should fight for the custody. Let's men also fight for the custody. Then only he'll start taking the responsibility of being, taking care of the child. But kya hota hai? We start fighting. Child custody should come to me. Child custody I will take. And here we loses the battle, because then again everything comes back on our shoulder as a single mother. So these are small things, but it has a deep meaning. We have to change. We have to start thinking now, as if we really want to break the bias, then talking about breaking bias or doing the panel discussion. I think I'll wrap up with the last note saying, hey women, you are beautiful, you are dedicated, you are hardworking, you are multitasker, you have a gut feel, you are the avatar, you are Durga, you are goddess, and you are the beautiful creator of this on this society. So use the power, use your blessings and the challenges, because challenges to rahenge the day you were born. Challenges were there, being a girl child, being a female. These things will be real, will remain there. You just starting acknowledging your blessings as a female, who you are. So just gather your power mentally, physically, and bodily. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Veena Gupta, for giving your views. And she says that the women should use their power, but they should also not misuse the power. Why they require equality when they can stand in the queue, they should. And one point which she mentioned about the child custody, I'm sure that I am going to keep a topic on that separately, because that is very, very important. Why the woman wants the child custody? Let the man also wants that. Let the child custody should go to the man. Let him suffer. Let him know the pains of upbringing the child, instead of the woman should ask. But that is a separate topic. But what she says is, she says that the woman should also take the responsibility. If she is not taking the responsibility, she just wants to take the benefits wherever it suits her. That is not correct. So according to her, the man chauvinism is there, but it has to be that woman is also responsible. After all, they are the mother and they have to treat the child accordingly. Thank you very much, Ms. Veena Gupta, for giving your views. I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and he's Advocate Gagan Gandhi. Advocate Gagan Gandhi is the managing partner of Niti Nyaya Law Office in New Delhi. After doing his graduation in mathematics and statistics from St. Stephen's College, he completed his management from Faculty of Management Studies, FMS, University of Delhi. He worked in American Express Private Limited in their Risk and Information Department before he decided to do law from Faculty of Law, University of Delhi. He has research paper on Social and Environmental Disclosure Index, SEDI. He has worked extensively on Right to Information Act, relating to the same for seeking replies as an evidence and for inputs in policy making. Welcome, Advocate Gagan Gandhi, on our show. Advocate Gagan Gandhi, you have already heard the three earlier speakers, Ms. Urvashi Mittal, Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati, as well as Ms. Veena Gupta. And they have given their views, very, very clear views, somewhat they are also mentioning that the responsibility also lies with the women or the women. Now we would like to know, as you are the only male panelist, as you have mentioned to me, although I said I am also there, but you said no, you are not been considered. So we would like to know from you your views on male chauvinism. Advocate Gagan Gandhi, please.
Thanks, Mr. Lal, for giving me this opportunity actually to share the panel with all the women co-panelists. And I was listening to them with, they had a lot of clarity on the subject and the way forward also. And looking at the composition of the panel, the topic should have been actually titled as female chauvinism rather than male chauvinism. But having said that, it is actually the isms which is causing problem in this society, whether it is federalism, communalism, imperialism, colonialism. So all these isms, if you see, they are actually causing more harm than good to the society. And I was listening to the point of view that what is the genesis of this actually, and why this actually concept was being Christian. So the idea is that if you look at these micros which have been created, these has been created with some vested interests, that otherwise everybody was born equal. There was no bias as far as the nature is concerned. So it is we who are imposing this bias. And why are we imposing this bias is because of obvious reasons. The reasons could be many. It could be the insecurities, to address those insecurities. It could be the control over the finances, control over the resources, or it could be anything. So there are various dimensions to this problem, which is getting unfolded day by day. And as a law practitioner, I would be talking more about the dimension of through the prism of law. So if you look at since the independence or since the evolution of especially the Indian society, where we started from child marriage, where we started from sati, where we started from dowry, and now in 2022, we are standing where we are saying that daughters have right in the property of their parents, where we are saying that daughters can claim marriage expenses from the parent, unmarried daughters can claim marriage expenses from the parents. So the evolution has been very transformative, and the day is not far looking at the laws which are there in existence when this topic will become redundant actually, that when we will start talking about female chauvinism. And as one of the panelists was rightly talking about, that this is an ecosystem. So females cannot exist in isolation. They exist when the males exist, whether it is husband, whether it is his brother, whether it is son, whether it is father, whether it is father-in-law. So if we are existing in an ecosystem, then we cannot actually segregate, and we cannot claim dominance of one class over the other class. So if we do that, what we are suggesting is that are the males less competent, or are the males already empowered that they don't need empowerment? That will be misplaced. So even there would be males who need empowerment. There could be times when they are facing emotional distress, or there could be times when they are subjected to cruelty. But if you look at the law, there is not a single piece of legislation which comes to the rescue of male. So what kind of society are we actually proposing? On one hand, as one of the panelists was saying, that we are claiming equality. And on the other hand, we are drafting one legislation after the other legislation, which is empowering women only. So where will the men go in the society? Are we saying that they are the children of lesser gods? The answer is no. They are also participating equally in the society. But yes, since India is undergoing a transformation, why it is going a transformation? Because of increasing participation of women in all spheres of life, which was not seen before. So this transformation is actually pushing the boundary walls. So once it is pushing the boundary walls, there is a churning which is taking place. So this churning is leading to this kind of actually outburst in the society. Okay, this was actually considered my domain. So how could somebody enter into my domain? When I say my domain, I mean the male domain. But ultimately, the society should be moving towards meritocracy. Whether it does not matter whether it's a female or a male, whosoever is actually in a better position to manage things, to take care of businesses, to manage household, then they automatically take the role of a leadership. So how leadership is actually evolved? Leadership is evolved with responsibility. The more responsibility we take, the more empowerment it leads to more empowerment. It's not the other way around. Otherwise, it will only be on the piece of paper. So when we are saying that we need reservation for women in legislation, when we say we need reservation in judiciary, so are we imposing upon them, or are we looking that they evolve through this process? So if it is latter, then we will see a better country in times to come. But if we are actually seeking imposition and then actually managing the show through shadow boxing, then we will not achieve the result which we are actually trying to achieve. Now, coming to the point that I would actually equate it to the concept of reservation. So this reservation concept was actually kept into place because when the constitution was adopted, there were certain sections of society who were deprived and they needed upliftment. They needed a level playing field. And today we have reached a stage where the third and the fourth generation of the so reserved class is actually enjoying the benefits of reservation. So do we need to redefine the concept of reservation? Bringing the same analogy to this concept, when actually India became free, there were certain biases, prejudices which existed at that point of time. But do those biases and prejudices still exist in the society? We have to answer that. If the answer is no, then we need to rethink actually. If the answer continues to be yes, that yes, we still have biases towards against women, we still have prejudices against women, then yes, we need an overhaul. We need laws to actually empower them, which we are doing actually, which legislature and both judiciary are doing on a day-to-day basis. Now, there was actually mentioning about the misuse of the laws which have been enacted. It's true actually that the laws which were actually meant to empower are actually disempowering the other sex. The objective and the idea of these laws was not to disempower somebody, but to empower somebody. So it was an affirmative action which was taken by the legislature. As she rightly pointed out about the custody. So in West, we have a concept of joint custody, where both the parents actually enjoy the custody of the child. Why? Because it is for the welfare of the child. It is not for the interest of who is better, who is in a better position to take care of the child. But on the contrary, it is for the welfare of the child that both he or she should get the love and care, affection from both the parents. So keeping these things in mind, and the way actually the men are actually sharing their responsibilities in the household, which could have been witnessed during the COVID times and otherwise also. I think asking this is actually asking the nature, because nature has endowed both the individuals with certain attributes, both to the female as well as to the male. And those attributes are actually taking the society forward. Now, capitalizing upon any particular attribute which has been endowed to an individual is actually questioning the mother nature. I think that will be misplaced. So I sum up my submissions with respect to this topic.
Okay. Thank you, Advocate Gagan Gandhi. And I am sure you will not now complain that I have been given less time. I have not interrupted you. And what Advocate Gagan Gandhi says, that although everything is fine, but nowadays the judgments or the legislation is tilting towards the women. Although yesterday or the day before yesterday, the judgment about the girls are entitled, unmarried women are entitled for the marriage expenses from the family. I don't know why this thing has come. Why they require the money? Why the expenses on marriage? I think I've done recently a program on the big fat Indian wedding, and I said that no money should be spent on the wedding. Why we are spending money on the wedding? But if the law is supporting this, tomorrow the boys will also claim that we also require money, whether I am married or not. A bachelor should also get the money. Something wrong is happening. I don't know why, but anyway, we will take that topic also about this very soon. But thank you very much, Advocate Gandhi. Paucity of times, I will not summarize, but you have already cleared everything. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and she is Dr. Namrata Shukla. Dr. Namrata Shukla is the independent management consultant at Muscat. She has over 12 years of experience in teaching, training, consulting, counseling, and mindfulness. She is a PhD in management CSR from IIT-ISM and a certified mindfulness coach from Berkeley, UC. She has experience in teaching and training both Indian and international students. Even while teaching, she was actively engaged in training students and making them market ready for jobs. She has designed training programs, especially for BBA and MBA students in the area of personality development, effective communication, interview skills, among others. Her area of expertise include communication, personality development, OB, CSR, mindfulness, and stress management. She is also co-founder of Kaizen Mantra, which focuses on training or consulting and counseling. Welcome, Dr. Namrata Shukla on our show. Dr. Shukla, you have heard all our earlier panelists. Now, we would like to know your views, because you being a counselor, you are giving training to the MBA and BBA students. So you know the conditions today, and not only the Indian, but the international conditions of the students, young students, BBA, MBA students, about the male chauvinism, which we are talking. So, male chauvinism, Dr. Namrata Shukla, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lal Goel, for inviting me on this platform and having me say and talk about this topic. And I guess Mr. Gagan Gandhi spoke my mind when he said that the topic today should have been female chauvinism. So I was exactly about to say that the topic should have been female chauvinism. And why I say this, now all the women are sitting here. I think all of us women sitting here are empowered women because of the upbringing that we had. And talking about male chauvinism, we are disregarding our parents, our fathers, our grandfathers, and even you, Dr. Lal Goel, because you have, started this topic. So I think the moment that we start talking about male chauvinism, we are really disregarding all the empowerment that has been, passed on to us through previous generations. Now, coming back to the topic, I think really this is not a male-dominated society. It has become a female-dominated society right now. And I can see the wrath faced by the kids of today in schools. Now, nowadays, what is happening is most of the female girls, because they are getting the upbringing that, no, you are strong, you are a strong girl, you are equal to boys, so you can do anything. And that is, giving a wrong impression to the girl children that how to behave. I see more misbehaved girls these days, the smaller ones I'm talking about, rather than the boys. The boys have become more calmer, more quieter, and more, docile rather than the girls these days. Because past few weeks only, I have experienced 2-3 instances wherein all this had happened. And now coming back, as one of the co-panelists said, that parenting, yes, parenting is a very important aspect wherein, this gender bias comes. Now, I am the only girl child in my family, and I have two brothers. But I think I was the most dominating person in my family, and till date, everybody listens to me first, and my views are given the most importance rather than my brothers. So, when even they have to talk something, if my brothers have to say something to my dad, they'll, tell me that you talk to dad because dad will listen to you. He's not going to listen to us. And my dad will also, he'll ask me, he'll consult me first, and then he will, take any decision, whatever it is. So that comes from parenting. I have never faced any sort of, this male chauvinistic or male domination, either in my parents' home or at my in-laws' home. Like, for instance, my working hours earlier, when I was into full-time work, my working hours were longer than my husband's. My husband used to come back by 3 or so, and I used to come back by 5:36, and sometimes when I had evening classes, I used to come back by 8. So I did not have to worry about that. When I go back home, I'll have to cook the dinner, I'll have to make tea. Most of the time when I was late, my dinner was ready, and that was all done by my husband independently, and he has no issues with that. He's very comfortable with that. So, these are all life skills which we need to teach our children, that cooking is not the women's responsibility alone. It is like both the partners have to see who is free at what time and who can manage it nicely. And as far as financial freedom is concerned, I guess even when a woman is not working, men are most of the time acceptable of the fact that since my wife is taking care of my family, I'm able to earn. Like, my father or my grandfather always used to say that if your mother or your grandmother would not have taken care of the family and the house, I would not have been successful on the career front. So even my grandfather was very, he was a feminist. He used to be more empowering towards girls rather than the boys. So that comes through generations, that passes on through generations. And I think because of a few instances, so it's not that male is good or male is bad, or female is good or female is bad. It's the mindset that is good or bad, and we need to change the mindset rather than, pointing fingers on either females or males or anyone. So I think it is a female dominated society. Female are completely empowered. I think if had it not been for empowerment given by our parents and the society that we belong to, and like you only said that birthdays are for girls are not celebrated till date. The most pompous birthday that is celebrated in the house is mine. So and it has been since childhood. Like, always my birthday used to be, more pomp and show and more guests coming up rather than for my brothers. So it has all I have all never I am very feel very blessed, and when I see that some women talking about all these things, yes, some women do go through difficult situations, do face the wrath of the society, or do face the wrath of male dominance. But those are not males in general, those are people in general, if we can classify them as people rather than male or female. Females are also dominating, females are also they take more advantage of men, and they take undue advantage of their being, they kind of damsel in distress, that fairy tales were there, that there's a princess and a prince will come and save her from the monsters or the devils or whatever. So that mindset was there in fairy tales, and those fairy tales were not meant to be reality. In reality, women were always empowered, women were always dominating. That is what has been there. Just because of those few fairy tales and those few instances, we have generalized this thing that it's the male dominating society. It's definitely not. It's a female dominated society. I think if we don't take steps right now, I think in the going few years, our male children who are like 5, 6, 10, 11 these days, they will face the wrath of the society. So we need to protect the boys now for going forward. So that's my take. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shukla, for giving the brickbats on me for choosing this topic. Although I know that you are quite lucky to have that type of upbringing, but India is a very vast country, and we have to see those underprivileged society, which I am going, when I will come in the next round, definitely I am going to ask those questions where I would like to expose how you see. Sorry?
I would like to add one more thing, and not only in India, here as well, the females are more empowered. Like when in classes I go, in a class of 30 students, there are 10 boys and 20 girls, and all those 20 girls are dominating those 10 boys. So
then that you can see in our today's panel also. The female are dominating. I understand, but definitely we have to ask the questions in the next round. Definitely I will ask, and then I will see how you are going to clarify those doubts. Thank you very much, Dr. Shukla, for giving your views. Now I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and she is Miss Brinda Shine. Miss Brinda Shine is the admission coordinator of Delhi Public School, Kollam. She was awarded GMRAF Women Educationist Award, Teaching Excellence Award, ESN Best Teacher Guide Award, etc. She presented papers on mind mapping, infinite possibilities, ability learning versus artificial learning, man and machines, technical skills, computers, web designing and programming, graphic designing, SOS, science of savings, rivalry against chivalry, comparative study on tuition centers, give women the hammer to break the glass ceiling, unfocused to improve focus, farming the first appointed job of mankind, you are worth more than your waistline, etc. She holds certifications in IIATA member foundation level, Cambridge University, INET plus certified from Computia, Microsoft certified professional. She is the member of International Association of Educators and Corporate Trainers. She has vast work experience in India, UAE, and China. Welcome, Ms. Brinda Shine on our show. Ms. Brinda Shine, you have heard all our earlier panelists, and they have given their views. Now, you being someone who has written about give women the hammer to break the glass ceiling, it means you understand that the women are not that much empowered as our earlier panelists are saying. You also mentioned one very important thing. You are worth more than your waistline. So we would like to know from you now your views on men chauvinism. Miss Brinda Shine, please.
Happy morning to everyone. And I feel extremely happy to be part of a topic which was once even considered a taboo. So I call myself an educationist, and I breathe, like kids and education sector. So for me, I would say that equality begins at home. It's not male chauvinism or female chauvinism. I don't blame even the society. It is the parenting. We have lots of courses to become a doctor, to become an engineer, to become an IAS officer, but we do not have any course to become a parent. The first problem that I see is parents, they don't know how to be a parent. It is the same stereotype pattern that has been followed from hunters and gatherers, where we have traveled a long way, but still we follow what our parents did and what they followed what their grandfathers and grandmothers did. So what happens is this gender bias, whatever said and done, it is definitely there, especially in the rural areas. There is, of course, like empowerment and all that coming up, like women are already empowered and we do not need additional empowerment. But at the same time, when it comes to children, right from at like home, especially in Kerala, I'm like located at Kerala, I do see that happening a lot at home, where boys are treated in a different way. They are even not allowed to carry the plate, whatever they eat they are not supposed to take it, like they take the dish to wash, because that's considered very inferior, and that becomes the job of a woman. I do see the teachers who are working in the education sectors. They work like here in Kerala, like teachers have more like the main, the career that is available for women is more of teaching industry. And like it's seen that more women work in that industry, where lot of effort is required in terms of physical and mental. They have to be updated. They have to stand the long hours, and soon after they go back home, they have to patch up even the, like the domestic work that has to be taken care by the women. And especially during the COVID time, they had a real tough time, because they have to conduct the classes online. They have to take care of their mother-in-law or the father-in-law or the family, and the food has to be on time on the table. At the same time, they also have to cover the work. So that really exists. We do talk about the women are empowered, but it is always there in every part and parcel of life. As Dr. Namrata was saying, like women, it was in fairy tales that they think that, that they are like damsels in distress, but it is still there. We see in the education sector, in the teenagers, the girls still think themselves as damsels in distress, and they see boys as knights coming to, like rescue them from their distress. Still it exists. They get attracted to men who are like macho boys, who are like with muscles. They go by it. And that chivalrous activity of boys, that attitude still attracts women. And that chivalrous is what turns into chauvinism. Acting immature, acting like girly talks, talking like a childish thing. That's what not every girl, like girls feel that's what a girl should be like. That is the attitude of a girl, to talk a bit like less matured, less, kiddish. And at that time, when they are in love or at teenage, and men automatically, he gets into the role of a superior. He becomes chivalrous, he pampers her, he takes extra care, and all that women enjoys at that moment of life. And once they get married, they get into it. At that point of time, this dominance, it continues, and then they call it as chauvinism. So for me, I would say chivalrism is what converts into chauvinism. Chivalrous activity is what leads to it. That is one thing that I should say. So it is the stereotype that happens. And again, like early marriage, the dowry system, the marriage system itself, as said, now it has become be it the expenses or whatever, it is dumped on the women. In Kerala, I'm not like, talking ill about Kerala, but then the system is still followed. We have to give around 300, I'm meaning like 3 to 5 kgs of gold to get married. It's not big fat wedding, it is a normal wedding. If you have to get married to someone who is good at the society, you should give, at least 3 to 5 kilos of gold, and parents are ready. The literacy rate is very high in Kerala, but if you see the employment rate, women are less employed than men. Why? They are educated, but why don't they get into the job profile? Because as soon as they hit the 21 or 23 years, they are forced to get married. So that's the reason, like, be it family business or the business outside, it is very difficult for a woman to break the glass ceiling. There are barriers. We do talk about empowerment on one side, but this change should happen at home. The parents, there should be some awareness that should be created by the education sectors. For everybody who gets married, they should also have a certificate. I would say that they should know how to be a husband, a wife, and a parent, which is very important. Otherwise, we are only, like manufacturing machines, same prototypes with small changes, but the core remains the same. Deep inside, we are rooting the same core that, the supremacy, we are moving into a different phase of life. We are talking about Mars. We are talking, living in space, but still we are fighting for, equality is something which has to be, taken a call, and something that major change has to happen, that not only about the metropolitan cities or the developed places, we should, get into the rural areas. There is a very small incident that happened when I was small, like one of my cousins. It's a very minute thing, but still the mindset. One of my cousins was asking me, like, when I said, like, I'm going to the salon, to cut my hair or do my eyebrows. And then he asked me, like, oh, these girls are so much, like into beauty conscious, they get into so I said, then you should be growing your hair. You should not, shave your beard. You should have long beard and mush and all the. So same as what men do is what we do. Even doing that is denied still at many homes. Still it is denied. Getting into a beauty parlor is something, which is really bad, that, a woman's dignity goes down. There are families, but why does she need? The only time that women visits a salon is only for a wedding. And the women are expected, like, they dress themselves until they get married. And once they get married, they have to, dress and be like a different woman. Such expectations are there. They have to suppress their feelings. So I'm not saying that, we need, what to say, like empowerment or, I'm not talking about feminism, but at the same time, this biasness, this stereotype, gender inequality has to be stopped. It has to be completely eradicated right from the child is born. Even the differentiation of color, pink color for girls and blue color for boys, even that should not be there, because I know boys who they don't like the color of pink. Boys, they do not, at school I see, if something in pink color, can you change this color for us, because pink is a girl color. We make the differentiation. Why for Women's Day everyone should wear pink? Why? So we are, in one side we are talking about empowerment, and one side we are making again a new set of modern things like pink. It was not there, our ancestors did not define a color. We have made it. We all wear pink color on Women's Day. Why? We don't need that. The color doesn't define us. So such changes should definitely happen. So we have to identify what is the root cause of it, and minute, like I said, these small things which we don't notice makes a big change in the society.
Thank you very much, Ms. Binda Shine. And at least one of the panelists has supported or gave the views against all the other panelists and said that, yes, women are not at all empowered and women require empowerment. There's lots of gender bias in India, and it is there. And definitely what you have mentioned, breaking the ceiling is required if we have to give the respect. I'm not quoting the crime reports, what the government crime reports, how many rape is taking every minute, how many domestic violence is taking place. So we have to understand the reality. We should not be in the fairy tales, as Ms. Brinda said. Thank you very much. Now my questions might be some questions which you may not like, but I have to act as a devil's advocate, although good advocate is also sitting on our panel. But so my first question goes to Ms. Urvashi Mittal. Dhol, Gamar, Shudra Pashu Nari, Sakal Tarna ke Adhikari. Now, one side, one of the panelists says that in older time, there was no male chauvinism. It was written by Goswami Tulsidas ji. Can you just tell me, at that time, it was not a male chauvinism?
Sir, here I'll just like to point out, recently I came across a theory. In fact, I was attending one of the sessions, and one of the very highly esteemed and accomplished panelists, he did say that, if I have it on my WhatsApp, I'll forward it to you after the show, that this is something, this was a delusion which crept in. Sir, this is what we've been struggling, that our Upanishads, Veds and all the things, they are not available in their original script. So most of the people, they're debating if it was actually meant by Tulsidas ji or not. And again, there's something to laugh about.
Miss Urvashi Mittal, I will tell you when it was mentioned, when Ramchandji was supposed to cross the sea and go to Lanka, although I also visited Lanka recently. I came back from Sri Lanka 2 days, yesterday only. So at that time, when the Samudra was not giving the way, at that time, this was quoted. And it is original. You can just Google it. It is not created by me or anybody. It is in the Ramayana, not in Upanishad or anything. But I just want to say that at that time also, they were categorized. The women were categorized in those categories. I am not saying why not, but it was categorized.
Sir, sorry, I'll interrupt. Sir, why did big fight take place? Because of Suparna. So why do we always think, sir, whenever we are talking in a particular reference and context, everything has to be understood. So maybe Tulsidas, or they had her in mind, Again, sir, we should generalize. First
No,
of all,
but
why can't we talk about
Miss
there are-
Urvashi, Miss
Sir,
Urvashi,
may I
again,
interrupt?
why we are talking of
Sir, may
Super
I
Khan, we have to
interrupt?
talk about Mata Sita also. So
Exactly.
Tulsidas ji was having in mind Mata Sita also. He cannot talk in such a
Sir,
low way.
sir, all I'm saying is these things, rather we stand here and we must counter these things. That these things shouldn't be generalized. Maybe the
Okay.
writer had something more specific in mind, sir. I'll just, sir,
Sir, I have an answer to this.
Okay, Namrata, you go ahead. But can I say something, sir, before I give my turn over?
Just 30 seconds, because I have to ask the questions to everybody.
Sir,
Yeah.
I very much agree with Gagan Gandhi. Nature has endowed us with certain attributes. If I am a MA with art side, and I have I'm very good at painting, and I have my own entire showroom of painting. But my friend, she's a CEO for concern. Then I fight. This is male chauvinism. My husband is not letting me do that. So I want to fight this mindset. All of us, most of us talked about cities, metropolitans, but India is a country of villages, so we have to focus up there. I can afford to talk girly as long as I'm giving my credit for that. I do have beauty pageants. I can do everything. When I get married, when I get engaged, I want my husband to be husband, to open the door and to show everything, because that is a symbol of care, concern, and love. So I will do everything. There's nothing wrong in color. I give pink shirt to my husband.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Urvashi. Paucity of time, but as you have mentioned very clearly, you try to defend something which is indefensible. Now my question goes to Ms. Karishma.
Sir, I would like to answer that question.
No, when you have turned, and sorry, it's so time is short. I know that it's very difficult to handle. Then you will put me in for the gender wise, but I know that problem. Okay, Miss Karishma Chhatrapati, you being a counselor, and you mentioned about the parenting, do you think this problem which has come now recently is because of the nuclear family? Because earlier the joint family, the respect was more or less, or now the nuclear family, now the respect is more or less about the less gender wise. What you feel, and according to you, joint family was the creator of the male chauvinism, or the nuclear family is promoting it?
Thank you, sir. I love the question you've asked me, because it's a very tricky path to tread on. Having said that, what I feel is that with joint families especially, there was a bonhomie in the family members, where even though there were gender roles to be played as daughter, mother, mother-in-law, grandmother, etc., everyone fit like a glove, because they were part of a family, which was very different. Now, when you come into nuclear family cases, there is more specificity. There is, I'm not saying all across the border, but where our traditions are concerned of being brought up together as cousins, as brothers and sisters together, we kind of if I may use this word, and I love coining new words, we nucleize ourselves and believe that we belong to certain boxes and certain mainstream aspects. So do I blame the nuclear families more so for chauvinism? Not, I mean, to a certain extent, but I say more than that, it is the entire typecast of saying there is feminism, there's chauvinism, and this is how it should be, and this is how it shouldn't be. All I believe is bring an equilibrium in balance of respecting genders, and then we would not have to have these conversations.
Okay.
And we're ending. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Now my question goes to Ms. Veena Gupta. Ms. Veena Gupta, change of mindset of society. One side, you people are saying change of mindset society. One of the panelists says, no, now we are quite this thing empowered, so we don't want any empowered, and like Dr. Shukla mentioned, and others also. So do you still think that the change of mindset society is required or not? Please unmute.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for asking. Great question. It does require, very much it's required, because it's not about changing the mindset and breaking the bias. It's about changing ourselves. We have to change first to change the society, to change the mindset. So of course, it does require. We have to change, starting from the patriarchy, starting from our mythology, starting from our Ramayana, starting from the Tulsidas, whatever Mahabharata. See, we really don't know. We were not born over there. It's the mythology, is the pratha, is the Sanskriti which we follow. So we really don't know what actually happened. And I only believe in that, it's up to you. Like, for example, when I was a child, we used to have this Ramrila act in our colony. Instead of choosing to be Sita, I used to be Ramana. I used to act as a Ravana. Why? Because I perceive me as a like person who really get attractive towards a power, towards a change, towards me, not as a female, as a bichari or the weak women. So I think we as an inheritant, we as a women, because my mother was very powerful mother. She stood by us. We are 6 siblings. We are 5 sisters as a female.
So basically, according to you, the change of mindset is required.
It very much required.
Okay.
And we have to change.
So thank you. Paucity of time. So I have to cut short the thing. Thank you very much. Now my question goes to the Advocate Gagan Gandhi. Advocate Gagan Gandhi, about the reservation. Everybody says why the reservation is required. I will tell you the example. Take the Honorable Supreme Court. How many female judges are there? Take the Parliament today. How many how many women are there in Lok Sabha? Forget Lok Sabha, because we say though they are not a winning candidate, women are not muscle power, they cannot face those types of bahubalis or dabangs in the election. Forget about that. What about Rajya Sabha? Rajya Sabha is a such a thing where the MPs have to select, and nothing has to be done, the bahubali, etc. Why the political parties, irrespective of any, why they are not bringing the women? Only 14% or the 10% in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Is it the right way? One side, the population is now crossing. They are crossing the population of male. The women is crossing, and they're representative in any of the field you see, from army, from armed forces, anywhere. Yes, they are more in education. They are more in all those types of things where this is it's a girly thing. Why then? Why we say the reservation is not required? Advocate Gagan Gandhi.
No, I am not against reservation. I am against imposition of the same. What I am proposing is that if the society is able to evolve women as leaders, automatically they will fill the space which is needed. So if you try to impose, what will you will face is the backlash, the circumvent of the power, because you will have women in place to fill those numbers. So they will be just numbers. I don't want to see them as numbers. I want to see them as actually truly participating for the purpose for which the reservation is meant actually. Because with due respect to all the women, we have tested this in the civic authorities. So in civic authorities, what is happening is that their husbands are actually calling the shots. So the true purpose, true sense of empowerment through this reservation gets defeated. So that is not what I actually am looking at. I'm looking at that they become independent thinking so that the color of woman actually is seen in the legislation.
Okay. Thank you. You have given the answer which I wanted. That even in the village or panchayats or anywhere, husband is taking the decision. Although the wife is the member of that panchayat or the president of panchayat.
I would leave it to one question that we all are talking about equality, and we are having all the female as co-panelists. So I asked whether they would be seeking as gender neutral laws in future or not, because right now we have especially sexual laws which are biased towards women.
Advocate Gandhi, the gender neutral law will come only when we will give them the respect. The way we are treating, whatsoever we are saying, our mindset is such a dirty mindset. We never want to. We respect them during the Navratra. And fortunately, right now the Navratra is on in North India, or the Chaitra Navratra. We respect these 8 days, 9 days. We consider them as a Gumata Gur Durga and the other now Durga in the winter. But otherwise, we are ready to rape them. We are ready to molest them. We are ready to shame them. So our mindset has to be changed, and the mindset has to be changed of the boy from the very beginning. Thank you very much, Advocate Gagan Gandhi. We will have a topic for that also, what you are saying. Now my question goes to Dr. Namrata Shukla. Dr. Namrata Shukla, do you think the education is the main factor? As you mentioned about yourself, I know your father is a very renowned person and an educationist, an educator. That's why you are giving your example. But in India, like I will tell you a very small example, that if a boy is crying, the other boy or the parents will say, why you are crying like a girl? लड़कियों की तरह रोते हो. Now, unless this type of things is not changed, the basic things are not changed. Education, wherever the educated family, the things are no problem. But where the education is less, there the problem is. What do you say about this, Dr. Shukla? But time is very less.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, absolutely. That's what I said, that the mindset should change through education. It's not the girl or the boy. It's the, the education that we are imparting to them, that is right or wrong. A man doesn't become a man because he's born a man. Because he's, since childhood, you're a man, you're a boy, you should be this, you should be that. So that becomes his mindset. So that has to change.
Okay.
Not, the people should not.
So I got the answer. I got the answer from you also, that there is a change is required. Thank you very much. Now my question goes to Mr.
It was, I have researched on that. It is not Tarana, it is Tarana. Tulsidas ji had written Sakal Tarana ki Adhikari, which means that they are capable of being uplifted. So I've done a lot of research on that.
So it means they were treated in that way, that animal was categorized in the same way as the woman. Anyway, we will discuss that point also. That is also very good point of discussion. Thank you very much. Now my question goes to Miss Brinda. Miss Brinda, why you are blaming and you are saying the society? Why to blame men? Blame women. Whenever the give a birth to a child, the woman give a child, from the very beginning, her tendency bias towards the boy, not the girl. And if a boy goes to the kitchen, she says, no, this is not your work. So, and when she married, and when she goes to the in-laws house, the same woman, the other woman, mother-in-law, for her, the son is more important than the daughter-in-law. So why you are blaming us? The man chauvinism is because of the women of the country. What you say about this? Time is short, 30 seconds only.
I do not blame the women. I blame the parent, both the father and mother. They have to treat them equally.
Miss Brinda, one of the panelists mentioned very clearly that the child upbringing is in India, especially is of the women. Yeah. So mother is doing mainly the thing. But husband is bechara in this case, not the women. So I am asking you, why?
Why, in the sense, the chance is not given, sir. Like for women, how many women the chance to get like our Modi ji has given a chance to a woman in finance, but she proved it. Likewise, every man should give a chance to a woman to come forward. At least that has to be done, that we will prove that we can also do.
Okay, thank you very much. So you are want to prove yourself, and which you have proved today. So thank you very much for giving. So viewers, we have seen today, everyone has given their views. Who are responsible? If at all, and it is existing after all, they all admit, it's the responsibility of the civil society, the parenting. We have to understand one thing, the boy and girl are same. When they born, they were not having, I just read one message and I liked it, that the first 5 minutes of a child is without any caste, creed, religion, name, anything, total independence. Afterwards, we give all that you are a Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or so-and-so, your name is so-and-so, you are a girl or a boy, whatnot. So please try to give more respect. The day, yes, we understand the laws are favoring women, but still, what is happening today in India is very, very shameful. A responsibility lies on all of us. We, the civil society, if we claim that we should remove all these laws, yes, the laws should be removed only when the girls or the women get that respect which they deserve. Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Karu News, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Gyan, as well as First on Live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor to bring to you every day new topic on our media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Tomorrow is a thought leadership series. And our guest is, the topic is business incubators. And our guest is Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran, former visiting professor, IIM Lucknow, University of Texas at Dallas, founder, Dr. Saran Consulting, California, USA. He will be answering giving straight answers to my straight questions. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Ms. Urvashi Mittal. Thank you very much, Ms. Veena Gupta. Thank you very much, Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati. Thank you very much, Advocate Gagan Gandhi. Thank you very much, Dr. Namita Shukla. Thank you very much, Ms. Miranda Shine, for giving and enlightening all of us. And thank you all the viewers. With a request, please try to start giving the respect and give the proper education to the boy and the girl and your family. Then only we will be able to not discuss and not to keep this topic next time. Thank you very much.